Hello and welcome. My name is Errity Green, and this is Wise Woman Oracle and Tarot. And today I am bringing you a special Oracle and Tarot card reading on a true crime feature. So today we are talking about Chris Watts as well as Nichol Kessinger. Of course, this is all for entertainment purposes only. I cannot guarantee any truth here. This is all alleged. This is all from the energies of the cards given to me today. So essentially my take, having set the intentions that we are only given the information that would serve the highest good of all and serve our souls. So I make sure that we create sacred space here, and that way whatever is given, whatever is received is all in divine order and serves the highest good of all. So those are the intentions I've set for today. I haven't done one of these readings live before, so we're going to give it a shot. Not that it's live, but it's being shared and then published on YouTube. So we'll see how it goes today. Again, this is on the Chris Watts murder case. If you have heard about that, if you have not, I would encourage you to first Google Chris Watts and or watch, I believe there is a Netflix documentary among other documentaries, if not books by now, on this case. There is the published case, and then there is the internet sleuth case, and there's a lot that is still unknown about this case since Chris Watts, after having taken a plea deal 7 days approximately after the murders of his family were committed, there was no other investigation done on this case. And so while the state has their verdict and their answers, and there's still legal protocol and processes happening right now for an appeal for Chris Watts, there is a whole other version to this story that many internet armchair investigators have uncovered. I encourage you to check out those details on Google or on YouTube or on Reddit. That way you have some idea of what I'm talking about today. That is a very, very, almost painfully brief version. But I do want to get into the reading today, so I'm going to check, I'm going to leave all of that there. Do your research if you're unfamiliar with this case, and then you can come back and or we will dive in. So what we're going to do today, and like I said, I'm leaving this kind of open-ended, and because again, I rarely do these, and when I have, they haven't been on YouTube. But we're going to talk a little bit about Chris. We're going to talk a little bit about Nicole. And the reason I'm bringing Nicole into this, who has been so far deemed innocent and up until this point has not been investigated and may not ever be investigated, is because if you start looking into the details and some of the sort of undercover investigations going on the internets, you will find that there's a lot of suspect things that have occurred that involved her. And from the very beginning, when I watched the Netflix documentary, the whole time, even though my sister refuses to watch this, I'm texting her and I'm saying, this girl is involved, she is up to something, bad juju, blah, 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 right? All intuition, all alleged, all for entertainment purposes only. However, this was my take, my sort of empath take, and I honestly felt more sort of bad juju energy from her than I did Chris. And that's not to say, I mean, this guy committed murder, clearly. However, I think that maybe, allegedly, for entertainment purposes only, this gal was involved and or was the mastermind of it, and or was the one who sort of planted the seed for Chris to do this, more than likely because he wouldn't be able to have her if he didn't do this. So that's Erity's opinion. Doesn't really matter, does it? We're going to get into what we can gather from spirit here. Again, only that which our souls want us to know, only that which serves the highest good, nothing more, nothing less, because that's the kind of sacred space we create here. We're going to talk about Chris. We're going to talk about his mistress, Nicole. We're going to talk about the axis of truth. That was really just what came up as I was pulling the cards. We're going to talk about the progression of events, or what really happened. Again, spirit provides what it wants to, so I set the structure, but who knows what's going to happen. Then we're going to talk about the final outcome. And honestly, from what I saw in the final outcome, it's more or less what we already know, but we're going to check in and see what's going on here. So when we're talking about Chris, what we're getting here, and it's not funny, but it is at the same time, we're getting someone who wore a lot of masks, who kind of is a little bit of that kind of person who who is a chameleon. You know, they show up in certain situations based on what they think other people want from them, and it's a way to sort of belong or fit in. But I feel like the energy here is maybe someone who never felt like they belonged anywhere, never felt like they truly fit in. And maybe that's where we're going with this, is like the psychology of it, the spirituality of it, and kind of what can happen to sort of like these lost souls who never find their way or never feel like they quite fit in. Of course, it's not the case for everyone, because a lot of us are the black sheep of the family, and guess what? We're here and we're not murderers. However, sometimes it can go awry, correct? And sometimes it's a part of the plan. You don't have to subscribe to that or believe that. But it feels like someone who was a chameleon, a shapeshifter, kind of showed up, did what was required of them, played the role, did what was necessary to sort of get by and do the thing, but maybe never always felt like they truly fit in, never felt like they were truly seen, and I don't feel like ever really let anyone in. I do feel that energy of sort of like that steel shell where it even reminds me of like a steel shell would sort of be reflective a little bit, wouldn't it? It would be like a mirror. And so wherever they would go, if you have a steel shell, we'll say, or steel armor, when people look at you, they're going to be seeing themselves. And what I mean by that, it's almost like this person walks around and they sort of, again, fit the bill based on wherever they're at, what situation or context they're in, kind of say the right things, do the right things. And I even feel like someone who's unsure of themselves. They want to do right, they want to do well, but feel like they never can or never do, because they're always, instead of being authentic to themselves, they're just trying to, again, fit the bill, wear the hat, play the role. And so because they're trying to live by these rules, situationally, contextually with other people, they might oftentimes fall short and then wonder what's wrong with them. But it feels like it was just a lack of authenticity all along, that I don't even know if they knew themselves, or if they did, again, that was even maybe behind a steel door. But it feels like someone who does have some, maybe, for lack of a better word, because you feel energy and you're just trying to find a word to describe it, that might have some kind of deviance, or, and of course that's, easily said because we know where we're at now. But again, that person who kind of feels like they don't belong, and even maybe has some rage about that, but it's unexpressed and unprocessed, because not only have they not looked at it very much, but I'm trying to catch my train of thought in terms of where that was going. But it's like, again, that energy of really wanting to do well and try, but never really quite fitting in, never quite finding your place in the world. And then maybe even have some anger and rage and upset about that. But also this sort of like, kind of feels like the energy of, say, I'm thinking of that case back in Colorado when I was really young, and I'm not doing it any justice right now in terms of the victims, as I don't know their names, and I can't even remember unless it comes to me. But it was one of the first high school shootings that ever came about, that became like a high profile case that was all over the news and became a part of mainstream media, and everyone was shocked, and it was like a nation in turmoil. And it feels like the same energy of, or a similar energy of, like a high school shooter, where someone kind of shows up, they save face, they do the things, they take the test, they might be a little bit of a loner or an outsider, but then no one ever expected they would come and commit that level of mass homicide. So it kind of feels like that energy of someone who, behind closed doors, maybe even didn't know himself or what he was capable of, but there was always, again, that wanting to belong. That's the primary point here. Always feeling like, or attempting to wear masks in order to fit in, and then there is a sliver, and we'll probably dive into it a little bit more here when the energies give it away, but it's like there is an energy here of, like, could be psychopathy or sociopath energy, that kind of energy, like that of like a high school shooter. And I don't feel like that's his entire personality, but there does feel some level, again, of emptiness and a lack of authenticity, and just wearing the right mask at the right time. But there is a void there. There is an inner child there that has some insecurity and really wants to connect with someone once and for all, wants to be seen for who they are, but then again won't let people in all the way. Probably was someone who didn't talk a whole lot, didn't share a whole lot, but then really wanted, or was desperate, whether they shared it or not, to have that level of approval to really be met. Now, what I also get is that he was ready to move on. He was building confidence. He was at a time in his life, and now we haven't involved Nicole yet. And so, if you're not familiar with the case, I would imagine that this is around the time he meets her or connects with her, but who's to say? We're just following the energy. There's not necessarily a chronology here, but we are finding that he's ready to move on. He's ready to move forward, to start a new life. He's building confidence. He's feeling more secure and confident in himself. Maybe no longer feeling like the loner, no longer feeling like the outsider, no longer feeling like, and I feel like it was very superficial. Like, he doesn't know this, but he's getting into this space within himself of actually feeling kind of good. And I feel like it might be because he's getting the attention from a special kind of woman or a special kind of person. But there is likely a catalyst here that spurs this along, where he starts to actually kind of feel good about himself and have some level of esteem and confidence. And I have the energy of like kind of working out and doing your thing and like walking into a room and whatever. And we do have some idea or awareness. I don't know if this was in the documentary or if it was just obvious and I put it together myself, but there was a time when he looked sort of slumpy and dad bod, and then he became like a gym rat and whatever, and so that might have something to do with that. But the energy is telling me that there was a level of confidence here, like the Leo is what's here, right? The Leo energy, where he's like thinking he's hot shit and he's ready to move on. He's kind of done with the old life, done with it being small, feeling small. Now I feel like because of his smallness, because of his perceived smallness, his lack of approval and belonging that he felt, it feels like in his marriage or in his relationship, again, this is all alleged, this is all for entertainment purposes only, this is all based on what our souls want us to know that serves the highest good. But it feels like in that relationship, it might have been a relationship that perpetuated him feeling small. So that he entered into a dynamic, of course, because that's what we do as humans. We enter into dynamics and relationships, experiences and exchanges that are just going to help us learn more about ourselves, so we can uncover what we need to uncover and grow from that. And I feel like maybe these will be true crime psychology dives. I think that'll be fun. So you'll have to let me know if you watch this, if you enjoy this, if there's another case that you'd like for me to dive into, because I feel like we're going to touch on the psychology. My readings tend to go deeper than just the superficial stuff. Maybe we should do Casey Anthony. Whoa. But anyway, getting off track. Someone who starting to feel confident in himself again and again, and like we tend to enter in these relationships where we find someone who mirrors back to us what we believe about ourselves. So I feel like for a long time he felt very small and unseen, but again, this is also partly because he cut himself off and let his wife, this is all the energy, right? I don't know for sure, but kind of be the star of the show. She's the spectacle, she's the production, and there's just little old Chris over here kind of doing his thing. He's the loner, the quiet one, not too exciting, and nothing's really going on over here, but yet he wasn't being authentic to people and really showing up as his true self either. But he finally feels like this is my opportunity to find myself. Oh, maybe this is who I am. I'm being seen, right? I feel like I actually matter. I don't feel small. And so he decides, that he's moving on. He's letting go of this old chapter. So I feel like there does feel like a darker or heavier energy here where he gets this idea. And maybe we should ask if it was actually his idea or someone else's idea. But again, that's Errity's stuff. So I'm not going to maybe enter that unless we need to pull a clarifier. I can ask. Maybe we'll get from information when we get to Nicole, who has since changed her name. So you might not ever find anything about her now under that name. But I feel like he gets an idea. It's almost like the light in the dark. Oh, I know how to solve this. And I feel like this can happen. And this will be the answer to all of my problems. As obscene, as ridiculous as it sounds, this is someone, again, who might have a little bit of this sociopathy or psychopathy, where he's not even thinking of the actual probability of things going wrong, the actual probability of things not working out the way that he's foreseeing. He's feeling like that grandiosity. Again, he's in that level of confidence of he kind of is on top of the world. Nothing can go wrong. He's invincible. And so he's feeling like, okay, I know how to solve this problem. I want to move forward. I want to feel confident again. This is where I feel like I'm supposed to be. And he also feels like there's some level of feeling like he's doing them a favor. There's this energy of, well, they won't have to deal with me anymore, and I don't have to deal with them. And this is really just going to make everything easier for everybody. There's some level of feeling like relief, like he's talked himself into believing this is a favor for his family. They don't have to deal with him. He gets to move on, and he's actually doing them a favor. I don't know how that makes sense logically, but that's the energy that's coming through here. And it's like, again, a light in the dark, like, oh, I figured it out. This is the answer. This is what I'm moving toward. But look at all this darkness here within these cards, which tells me it's, heavier, darker energy. Like this probably isn't a good idea. But I think he thought it was. And this is the answer to my prayers. This is what I've been seeking. This is what I've been searching for. Now I get to move on. This is the way that I get to move forward into this new chapter of my life. Yeah. So take a look at this, you guys. It's the energy, exactly what I said. I even have chills. We have distorted desire. A win-win outcome is forecast. He didn't realize. He wasn't seeing it fully. He was seeing with desire. He was seeing, I'm kind of getting that energy of someone who's like all coked up on drugs or substances or something, where it's like they're just not seeing clearly. They're not fully grounded. They're not fully anchored. They're really living in that kind of high or that thrill of this confidence, of this maybe even like fantastical reality that he was creating with this other person. Could be Nichol Kessinger, of course. That's alleged, and this is for entertainment purposes only. How many times are we going to say that? Let's put it at the bottom. Full disclaimer, whole video. Don't have to say it anymore. But it feels right to say that also, for me to be in full integrity. But he's thinking this is the answer, right? It says distorted desire, meaning he's not even seeing clearly. This isn't logical. This isn't rational. He's kind of caught up in this zest and this thrill and this high. I feel like he starts building almost this grandiose reality with another person, only because I know that she was involved. But let's just say it is on his own, because we don't know for sure, and we haven't seen a connection or a tie yet that she is involved, or that this is something that they are committing together, at least masterminding together. He starts realizing this might be the way, this might be the answer, this is the solution to his problems. He can relieve his family as well and kind of undo their burdens, and then he can potentially run off. We don't have that yet in the cards, but we do know some of the factual details in 3D, run off with this other person. And he's assuming, oh, this is all going to work out. I mean, this is effortless, right? Flawless plan. But again, that's that grandiosity, that almost mental illness of, that mental illness level of grandiosity, of fantasticalness, of like, they've taken something that is totally ungrounded and improbable and made it out to be like, this is all going to work out. This is all going to happen. They created a very elaborate plan. They thought they had all the details ironed out. They thought that they had it all like figured out. I feel like, and I keep saying they, and that's coming naturally, but again, make your own judgment, and we don't see that in the cards just yet. However, the energy, I do feel like there's a they here involved, so I'm going to keep on speaking to that because that's what feels right. But again, those aren't the current details of the case in terms of what we actually know and what's actually been confessed. But I feel like he got caught up in this desire to leave, to get out, but this, look at this gal, how she's kind of like pained and strained a little bit and kind of looks confused. Now I feel like he was more caught up in the high or the thrill of it all and the grandiosity of it all. I don't even feel like he was truly contacting the consequences of his actions or fully seeing through how it was all going to be a detriment, because I actually feel, when I'm feeling into this energy here that's available, is that he almost felt like, after this is done, I won't even look back. I won't even remember them. And it's like out of sight, out of mind. I've moved on, no big deal. Like he really wasn't considering, again, the real world practical consequences. I don't feel like he even cared about other people in terms of their response to it. But again, I don't even think he considered it. Again, I think he felt like there would be a relief that he was doing his family a favor in one way or another. And I don't know if that was kind of personified, they're better off without me anyway, that kind of energy. There was a sliver of that, but I do feel that energy of, a lot of people, even the greater good, we're talking the wealthy elite. This is a side note, oftentimes the things that are initiated for the greater culture or the common man are things that the people who are in charge will say, behind the scenes, the Wizard of Oz or whatever. If you subscribe to that awareness that, they're thinking, they go to bed easy because they're thinking they're doing us a favor, maybe we did this, that, or the other. Even like the Tuskegee experiment when it came to syphilis in the late 1900s, their excuse or rationale was, well, we're doing them a favor, right? We're doing them a favor. We're doing the right thing. So it kind of feels like that energy. But again, he's assuming this is all going to work out. This is going to be flawless. This is the perfect plan. They feel like they have all the details ironed out. He feels like this is like an easy win, no big deal, no problem. And he gets to get off scot-free. And there he is, right here he is. Both of these cards, you have someone who's moving on and moving forward. But it shows here, again, that darkness where it was distorted. I don't even think it was real or true, meaning I feel like some of this, again, was stirred. There was a pot stirred, or maybe someone else was adding to the situation, or making it seem more believable and possible and real than it actually was. I feel like there was a lot of ungroundedness to this plan. And I think, it's kind of when people get really excited about something and they kind of convince themselves that it's real or possible. Like, I feel like this kind of the energy, like the teenagers who hang out and they're like, okay, we're going to do this. And it's so out of like the realm of possibility, but they're convinced because they don't have enough life experience to show them that it's really not how things work. But they're like, all right, we're going to do it. And they believe in it, right? There's some beautiful aspects to that kind of energy, the Fool and the Tarot. But here these people go and they're pretty much digging not only other people's graves, but their own, ultimately in terms of quality of life and the life they are to lead here on earth. It becomes very quite limited. So that's where Chris is at his life, right? So at first we find out he is living an inauthentic life. He's not feeling true to himself. There's not even a whole lot of a healthy sense of self or ego there. He doesn't really know truly who he is. Always felt like an outsider. Maybe we can do another video in the future. You'll have to let me know on his childhood or his inner child wounds, what it might have contributed to this or brought him to this point. But we're not doing that today. But we find out that he goes through a phase in his life that could be catalyzed by someone entering his life. It wasn't in the cards, but he starts developing confidence, Leo energy. He's on top of the world. He's feeling invincible, and he starts to believe that he's beyond consequences. He's beyond practical reality. I can do whatever I want. I can literally do whatever I want. I even feel like there might be some energy here of perhaps, and this has been touched on the internet too, and it's only just coming up now, that there might be some occult energy here, or some kind of energy of like learning basic sort of, maybe not black magic, but even new age principles, and being like, oh, I can create my reality and everything's going to go my way. But again, some grandiosity that's just totally ungrounded. And so he just develops this idea of, okay, I know how to fix this. It's actually going to do them a favor anyway. I'll be able to move on. Everybody will be happy and everything's going to work out. So that's where we have Chris at. Let's check in with Nicole. Uh-oh. Baby! I feel the energy of a gold digger. Interestingly enough, because we don't have anything, I don't think, in terms of the facts of the case around Nicole. Of course, this is all alleged for entertainment purposes only. We don't have any information as to why, like, as to whether this could even be remotely possible or a thing, but we're getting that right away. And distorted perception. We have two different cards in both of their piles, right? One, distorted desire for him, distorted perception for her. What that's telling me is she believed like he was the key to her future, but maybe even specifically, maybe her financial future. For whatever reason, it could be because of his inauthenticity, his mask that he wears. He might have put on a show. Again, that grandiose show of check me out, I'm a Leo, I got this house, I got this money, it's all set. Was that actually the truth? We don't know, but we do have that energy coming from him. So maybe he exuded this energy in front of her. So here she is. She has this distorted perception, this belief that this man is going to be the key to my financial gains. You know, it feels like freedom, liberation. I don't have to worry about my small time job anymore. Like, I get to actually do what I want to do. I'll have more freedom. This feels very self-absorbed, essentially pursuing a relationship because of what it was going to give her, as opposed to something genuine or real. If anything, the bond feels more of like a bond founded in deceit and manipulation, and manipulating the other party, and just in general, a person who kind of operates in the world and builds relationships on a really wobbly foundation. Maybe there's not an actual bond or connection here. We have two people who might very well be without that healthy sense of self, without that inner authenticity, without that inner connection, and are just sort of grasping at straws to like discover themselves, or again be met, like still meet their needs, right? That's the whole, all of this. Like they're wanting to meet their needs. It's not like, it's not that, but it's, forgive me as I try to find the words for all of this, but we'll go back to the energy is she's thinking this is a payday. She's thinking this is going to be the answer to her prayers. And I don't know why. I know nothing about her. This is just the energy of it. We don't even have any profile in terms of her history, her past, at least nothing that I've looked into. But I feel like this is like, a sugar daddy situation. And not that he was aware he was that. And not even that she ever explicitly said that. But she kind of saw him as that answer. Not even the knight in shining armor, the romance. Again, I feel like this was a lot of like manipulation and deceit. And what I meant by that was it doesn't feel like it was founded in genuine love, appreciation, respect, and romance. I'm not even feeling that kind of energy from it. I'm feeling more of like the using of each other. It became something bigger than what it actually was, because they both thought that they could meet their needs through the mutual using of each other. I feel like he might have been more invested in the relationship than she was at the emotional level, to whatever degree is possible. Okay, because how emotionally invested can you really be as a sociopath and or as a murderer? But again, and because he's kind of feels empty on the inside, but so does she, but in a different way. She feels, this energy feels manipulative. Allegedly for entertainment purposes only, but she's thinking there's a payday here, and I feel like it could be very well connected to how this crime came about. Did she think that he was going to be the answer to her prayers? I'm trying to fix my, there we go, our camera. Did she think he was going to be the answer to her prayers as he was, or because of these murders were committed and there were, then they sold the house and they had money, or maybe there was a life insurance policy? Some of these things were not discussed in the documentary. I believe some of that, I'm not sure, has been discussed on the internet elsewhere. You'll have to do your own research, but it feels like for some reason, some way, she thought this was her ticket. This was her golden ticket. Yeah, so she got sort of lost in her emotional energy. It feels like maybe some jealousy. It feels like her own insecurity. Again, it kind of feels like that kind of tantruming 13, 14-year-old who feels like she's not getting what she wants, where she's like, I want what I want and I want it now. So she might be used to being someone who gets what she wants, calling daddy, getting her needs taken care of, oh, pay my bill, dad, or take care of this, or can you do this? So then, of course, she's looking for someone to play that role for her as well in her adulthood. Again, I have no idea. This is the energy. This is all alleged for entertainment purposes only, but it feels like this is someone who can kind of get lost in that energy of like the tantruming, whiny, spoiled brat girl, who's like, jealous, and why are you spending time with her? And he's like, she's my wife, and this is my family, and this is who I spend my time with. Duh. Like, you kind of entered the situation knowing that, and she's like, meh, wah, 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 like that kind of energy. And I'm not trying to taunt or make fun of, and like that's not at all what it is. I'm just feeling out the energy, and I'm sharing it with you, because sometimes I don't have the words, so I just kind of have to enact it or reenact it. But it kind of feels like that kind of energy that she walks around with. But I do feel like the kind of energy, again, is deceit, manipulation, trickery. I feel the energy of thinking this is her golden ticket, but then realizing that there's a big block here, a big impasse. Well, how can he be my golden ticket when he's responsible / financially responsible for somebody else? So I feel like she gets to thinking, so this is connecting the dots now between the two and maybe into the crime. Just saying. We're starting to get the energy of homegirl starts thinking about some ways to make this work, because I'm jealous and I don't like that he's spending so much time with them and he's supposed to be meeting all my needs. And, also that golden ticket that she's wanting this to be or become. And I think she was kind of projecting onto him far more than he was going to be able to offer, but I feel like she did have some big expectations. And again, it could have been because how he was showing up, kind of puffing his chest like, this is who I am, and maybe I make the big bucks. I don't know if that was actually true for him, and I think that behind closed doors, it was likely a very different picture, but this is what he presented in order to sort of swoon her or woo her over, and she more or less believed in it because, of course, these are her desires, and so she projects onto him too, and is like, okay, this is my golden ticket. But then she's like, well, wait a second, how is this going to work? Because he's always with her, and, right, and not only is he with her, but he's over there financially responsible for this. How is that my golden ticket? So she gets to thinking about this. You guys. Oh, let me show you the cards. I think it's very important to show you the guys the cards for this. I don't always show my cards, but I think it's very important because I want you guys knowing I'm getting the energy directly from these cards. We have the emotional energy, tantruming kind of energy. She starts to get to thinking. Look at that. Meditate and contemplate. She's wondering. She starts just sitting away, wondering how this can be fixed. How can this be addressed? And aha! She comes up with a solution, a repair. I can fix this. The energy starts gaining momentum. So I feel like, allegedly, for entertainment purposes only, we looked at their energy separately, but now we start seeing them join. And we start seeing that they have a common intention, a common objective, and a common goal, more or less to get rid of his family so that this is her meal ticket. This is also his ticket to feeling approved and loved, and that he can kind of keep this grandiosity and belief in himself going so he can finally feel like he matters. And the rest is history. I wonder, and I'm going to ask the question, we'll see if we get anything, as to if he received this insight or inspiration on his own to get rid of his family through murder, or if it was more her pushing it, because we do feel her meditating about it, right? She's thinking about it. She's pondering, how do I fix this? How do I solve this? And then she comes up with that solution. And as soon as that happens, it was like she wasn't taking no for an answer. Like, this is happening. What are we going to do? When is it going to happen? Start putting the plans together, Chris. You said, and when is it going to happen? And you said, and okay, like the time is ticking here, and we discussed the timeline and why isn't it happening yet. He felt like he had to meet, allegedly for entertainment purposes only, these demands and these standards of like, okay, when is it going on? Like, when are you going to get your stuff together? We said this, like, you need to follow through. So he's feeling like this pressure of having to perform, of having to make it happen. And again, this is also kind of plugging into his old insecurities, his old kind of psychological profile of not feeling enough. Oh, I don't matter. Oh, I need to prove myself. Oh, she's not seeing what she saw in me before, and this is going to ruin things and all this stuff. So it kind of plugs into his old insecurities, and he starts like feeling like, okay, I actually have to do this. But again, he wanted it too, but I also feel like he had considered the possibility of just letting it be or letting it go. But I feel like, again, allegedly, that he was feeling like his ex, well, she wasn't an ex at the time. This is actually his wife that he was married to, that he has since murdered. But I feel like he was thinking she was going to make it really complicated. You know, if I try to divorce her, this is going to be so painful. She's going to rip me a new ass. She's going to milk this for all that I'm worth. She's going to take all my money. I'm not going to have anything to give to homegirl. She's going to throw such a bitch fit. It's going to be so melodramatic. It's going to be the biggest spectacle on the planet. She's going to talk about it on social media. She's going to shame me. She's going to ruin my reputation. This is going to be the end of me. Then if it's the end of me at work, it's the end of me in these relationships, and I'll just never actually be able to be myself again. The whole point is to be able to be myself and to be free. And so she's going to make it painful, and I really need to make this painless. And so I feel like that's kind of where his mindset was, and hers was more of like, get rid of her. You know, very like where his is, he's thinking about it, he's moving through it. And again, we've already talked about a lot of his inner motivations, but she got to a point where it was like, it needs to be done now, and why aren't you already doing it? You know, that kind of energy. Okay, so let's see what else here is going on for, this is for Nicole. I'm going to sit with this energy for a minute. So I might ask for a clarifier on this card. I got out my clarifier deck, but I know one of them, I feel like this was a mutual and joint effort, if not multiple people. Just clearing the energy from the card. Ooh, we got a bunch of clarifiers here. Got it. All right. Okay, so let me first say, I feel like this might be a team effort. Doesn't have to be, but it is showing me multiple people. And because we were talking about the energy is gaining momentum, and it feels like everything just starts falling into place. That could also be what this card represents. Everything starts falling into place. You know, the timing, the variables. I feel like there were some things or maybe some hiccups or whatever as I'm saying that, but everything starts to fall into place, and you know, the plan gets moving. But I do feel like there might have been a hiccup because again, we have this energy here of like suspended in air, of not really knowing how it ends, but we do know how it ends. So that's why I was like, okay, what's the clarifiers here? And what I'm getting is ultimately they both got what they wanted. I mean, obviously not ultimately, because here we are, he's in prison and she's off scot-free doing who knows what. I do feel like there could have been a team effort here. At the very least, she was a part of the masterminding of this and pushing him along and pressuring him and making demands and insisting that this be done sooner rather than later. She wasn't going to wait anymore. She was placing ultimatums, heavy expectations on him that this be done, and again, done sooner or later. And one of the reasons this didn't go as planned and worked out the way that it did was precisely because it was rushed, it was forced. It was almost like it needs to happen now because this is the only time it's going to happen. Now, when we start considering the facts of the case, this makes sense because we know that the wife was off on a business trip and was coming home, and that's when she was caught, you know, by surprise, more than likely. And ultimately this led to her demise at the hands of her husband. So all of that said, perhaps, I have no idea, I only got from the energy of the cards that this needs to happen now, let's make it happen while it can, you know, that maybe they thought that this is the only ideal time or time frame that would work because she's gone,